Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Lean-YEG. Before we begin, just a couple quick housekeeping items. Today's session is being recorded. We're going to post the recording afterwards on the Lean-YEG YouTube channel for anyone who wants to revisit or share it with others. For the presentation portion, please keep your cameras off and microphones muted so we can keep the audio clean and minimize the dogs barking in the background, that type of deal. We'll keep an eye on the chat throughout the session for questions and comments. If you prefer to ask a question verbally during the Q&A portion of this, feel free to use the raise hand feature and we'll work you into the flow at an appropriate time. Otherwise, just put them in the chat and we'll monitor it that way. Okay, so let's begin. My name is Abel Espiritu, and I'm part of the Lean-YEG volunteer committee. For those who are joining us for the first time, Lean-YEG is Edmonton's Lean Community of Practice. We're a volunteer-driven group connected with the LDCCC, the Lean Design and Construction Canada, and our focus is on creating opportunities for people to learn from each other, share practical lean experiences across architecture, engineering, construction, operations, and other related industries. But the goal is really about building a community around continuous improvement, getting people together to share ideas, lessons learned, experiments, successes, failures, and those challenges. And so we can continue improving our work and see if we can increase the flow and better the work within our region. So on that note, today's presentation focuses on lean in the construction industry and what it looks like when continuous improvement moves beyond theory and into the day-to-day operations. Our presenters will be sharing their organization's lean journey across both project sites and office operations, including practical examples of waste walks and 5S and field-driven kaizens and those small little operational improvements that add up and compound over time for really big and meaningful impacts. They're also going to speak on the realities of sustaining lean in the construction industry, balancing that consistency across projects. Everyone's very, very busy while still maintaining the momentum during those very, very busy times. And on top of that as well, too, what kind of like overlays everything is sustaining that culture where people doing the work are empowered to also improve the work as well as delivering it. So this organization today is one of Alberta's leading design, build, and construction management companies with offices across Edmonton, Calgary, and Red Deer, and projects throughout Western Canada. Please welcome in welcoming Cliff Huber, Justin Bourgeois, and Matt Thompson from Scott Builders. I'll pass the baton to Cliff, Scott, and Justin.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you today? It appears we have a contractor, a consultant, and I'm not too sure who else is in the room, but we hope to kind of show you what we've done and how we did it and what we hope to achieve going forward.
Oh, anyway. Cliff and Justin, you guys can turn your cameras on.
Oh, really? Okay. There we go.
Yeah, just for all of us people who are just watching can turn the cameras off until we get the Q&A.
Yeah. So typically we're used to doing presentations in person, so this is kind of new to us. So we hope that we don't mess up with the technology and we find it works. So moving forward, our lean journey. Okay. So we hope to talk about our company, us, what we, as Avila said, what we've done and what we're doing and moving forward, our challenges and successes. I'm Cliff Huber, Scott Builders, been there with them for 28 years, been in the industry for 35, and board chair of Passive House Alberta, and I graduated late. Just a brief background on me.
Hello, working with Cliff on this, as well as Matt, as alluded to here, will be next. But so Justin Bourgeois, been with Scott Builders 15 plus years. Cliff and I both work currently in kind of the business development realm, the front end, the fun stuff. 7 years of other prior experience just with other general contractors. From Nate before that, construction engineering technology, and yeah, worked up through project management, similar to Cliff, to get to the front end.
And Matt, he's been the site superintendent with us for 20 years. He started off as a journeyman and has become a red sealed person, and he's on site and I think working from his phone. So we'll be doing a lot of talking for him or with him, and I don't think you'll see his mug, but there it is. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go through just a brief introduction here, some company profile things for people who haven't heard about Scott Builders. So I'm not going to read through the slide here, but you can kind of see we're 55 years plus of a company, roughly 150, I think we got on here, probably closer to 200 people we're growing right now. We shoot, like our goals are probably 250 to 300 mil per year. I guess we kind of mentioned that as well. We got offices, our head office is in Red Deer, corporate in Red Deer. Then we have offices in Edmonton and Calgary. We have a satellite office out in BC. We do mostly focus on Western Canada work, but we're currently working in Ontario. We have some clients from out here who we're building for out there. We were predominantly based off repeat clients, so we kind of go where the clients take us. Mostly focus on commercial construction, light industrial, community are kind of our three big categories. Obviously, there are dozens of subcategories off of those, but those are our main focus. We're predominantly design builders, like Avril mentioned out of the get-go, but we've really diversified into construction management, design, bid, build, hard bid. We do have in-house design, which just helps collaborate, design, build. And we also have a service and maintenance division. But overall, we have familiarity with all the CCDC contracts and models that help us support collaboration and continuous process refinement. So the next slide here, just kind of our commitment to operational excellence, lean implementation and training, improved project delivery. So that kind of coincides with some of our core values, which is just like a positive impact on community and earn customers unequivocal commitment for repeat business, treating everyone with respect and integrity, and creating safe workplaces. So all these this lean training and lean culture shift really just helped with what we had been currently doing in the past.
Yeah, so just a structure of our company is we are 100% employee owned, but it's a pretty standard structure for the industry where you have a president, CEO, CFO, COOs, and each department is run under their headings and requirements. Didn't want to spend too much time on that. So adopting lean. So key reasons, as we alluded to, is we wanted to create we did some team building exercises as well, and we wanted to create, this is coming out of COVID, we wanted to create a better team environment working with everyone and helping people grow. And as well as our internal customers, our external customers, we wanted to provide more value through the projects, delivering the projects, where we could, help them reduce schedule, waste reduction, and just review their processes and what they do. And we have an example. I'll talk a little bit about that after. And just professional growth. The industry is moving towards more design, more requirements for ESG and such, and building better. And you become more involved with the professional community, the more offerings you have. So adopting lean, we just identified through the process, we identified things like waiting for consultants' drawings and decisions, materials coming to site right or wrong on time, moving them around, just trying to work out our systems and look what we have issues. And, we realize that these aren't new problems or our only problems, but, we just started to make them more spoken and work as a team to resolve them. Yeah. Lean training and certification.
I can take that one there. Yeah. So lean training and certification. Here's kind of just a brief overview. You can see December, October. I can't remember if you have the exact amount of hours on here, but we basically met weekly, I think almost bi-weekly at times. We had 17 members attended. You can see 11 achieved it. Now there's reasons for that. We had people, leave. We had mat leaves. We had some people that just didn't or couldn't meet the requirements. So it seems like a staggering number, but yeah, the majority kind of went through there. Yeah, thanks. Like the training just definitely helped connect conversations across like all departments. I know we kind of mentioned that there. When you really step back and look and go through the full impact of where the process begins to where it completes, like it's nice to see how and when all departments contribute to the process. So whether that be, estimating, project management to site supers, it was really nice kind of highlighting that through the lean journey. We also mentioned here we're employee owned, so lean kind of fits well with our shared ownership, buy-in from everybody. And as mentioned previously, we do a lot of collaborative design delivery models. So kind of lean gave us a little more structure to kind of improve on and just helped highlight some areas there. Next one there. So like I said, we met a lot, weekly, 89 hours. There it is, Lean Belt program. We had homework as well, so it was good to kind of stay into the rhythm with everything of that. And it was good to get engagement and like instant feedback on changes and kind of understanding. So you go into some personal items and some acknowledgement and tests on how you communicate, and how you work with others and how planning's actually done and kind of back to the root causes of some things. So it's just nice to kind of transparently discuss those things and focus on them to try to improve. You can see workplace behaviors is also addressed, which was nice. That's not frequently done. And then we did kind of a blend of workshops through all these core concepts. So you can see 8 ways, 5S, continuous improvement, flow batching, full planning. Those are all really broken down into like a general contractor's lens, which was really just helpful for all departments to transparently understand their involvement. And then further on, practical application, we did, as mentioned, some waste walks, some kaizens, some 5S's initiatives, which we'll kind of get into a couple examples here and how even the simplest things, when you kind of delineate them, just become improvement.
Yeah. So basically, we saw some improvements, like in the sites. We relocated garbage bins and pre-populated forms and just simple tools we did in the office. Again, we have lots of forms where we had to do multiple entries for the same information, so we came up with ideas and used technology to minimize that. Again, we organized our workspaces, like from our stationary areas to our workstations, and just really helped each other think their way through their offices and the way it's all set up. So our case studies, so the waste walks. Basically, waste walk, you just look for all the 8 lean wastes, and you always sit there and go, well, what are they? And we used a standard format to help people find out what they did. And everyone just, all the participants did that. And here's an example of the form. Like you just sit there and you go through and you look. at what you're doing in your everyday thing, and you identify each of the process, the eight items that you look at. And everyone did this and came up with a different idea of what there was. Some of it was, you know, operational, some of it was what they do and how they perceive their job, um, and how they see the relationships with everybody. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about some of the studies that we did do. Anyways.
Yeah, here's just another example. So case study of a site orientation now. So you've all been on a construction site where typically in Scout Builders, we have our superintendent or foreman's kind of run some of these, and any new employee has to get kind of signed in and orientated to a site specific orientation, which you can see here might take 15 minutes, right? But sometimes you orientate 5 people and then you head back out to site, and 5 minutes later there's another 5 people, right? So it just became quite time consuming. So again, you can see on the larger industrial sites, they sometimes have movies or QR codes, and you can still site specific those, but just small like fractional improvements or items like that of identifying usually waste, like you said, right out of the get-go of, okay, what are we wasting time on? What's been done multiple times? How can we improve efficiency? As soon as you kind of like, I call it delineate, but really when you chop apart your days and understand what's valuable and what's waste, it was easy to find incremental improvements. That being one of them. Here's another one here. Or sorry, this is just the Kaizen form that they kind of use to fill that out.
Yeah. Another one, and it's a lot of to do with our site superintendents and what happens. Again, you know, you have a garbage bin, waste receptacles, recycling bins, and stuff like that. And it's a simple thing. Where you located on the site? So you looked at that, and you know the improvement. You move the bins, you know, from 300 feet to 40 feet. Well, that saves, you know, a couple of minutes of walking, and it enables people to encourage it. It doesn't encourage people not to do it, being 300 feet away versus 400 feet. And then you can make fewer trips too. And it, like I said, it encourages immediate cleanup and takes up less room on your site, and you can store other materials all over there. Yeah, so again, that's motion. It saved motion, place of materials, improves flow, and just again, small time commitments, or you know, the time is saved. Again, the example of our superintendent's Kaizen form.
Yeah, the next one's another superintendent one, and I know we've used some examples here there on site, but maybe they're not as flashy, the office sites, you know, where it's changing forms or duplicate forms where you can use 2-for-1s, or just filing systems, or just overall process. You know, we stood kind of and did the assembly line workshop, when you truly understand how everyone's doing it, or where there's bottlenecks, it allows you to simplify from paperwork or protocol standpoint. But that was really nice for our front end point of view. But this one here is just another door jig. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with door jigs, but typically we do a lot of the gray area work, which involves hanging doors and frames. And usually when you're doing numerous ones, you work up a jig to kind of use frequently. Now, sometimes in situations there was just jigs that kind of didn't work or being reused. So just making kind of a proper modified jig, slightly larger in this instance, to improve fit and handling was a huge time saver. Again, you're taking more time at the beginning to kind of improve this in the long run, but oftentimes you just kind of keep doing what you have been doing, and assuming waste is just part of the day job. So it was nice to be able to kind of just reevaluate some of these processes and be able to improve them, and then look back at what you've done and how much time you've saved. Again, the next sheet is just kind of the Kaizen of showing that. I know we don't have the picture, I guess. I don't think we have the picture on this one, right? Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So anyways, the next one, it's Matt, Justin, and myself, we did our 5S walkthrough together on a site, on a project Matt was working on. So I'll let him more speak to this. But again, a 5S, you sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Sustain is a big thing here. Hopefully the video will work. It looks like it might. Anyways, music. So these are kind of before and after video showing of what it looked like to what it is. So I guess, Matt, if you wouldn't mind just saying what you did to make your C-storage can much better. Thanks, Karen.
All right, yeah, with regards to the 5S, like the first step is to sort. So it's really just discard all the clutter and garbage, pull everything out, sort it out. And we have the next one is set in order, right? So we started just arranging all the essential items we wanted to keep so we could visually see them and keep it logical so we could see them. Then shine, before we put anything back, we gave it a good clean, fixed any shelves, adjusted anything as needed. Then there comes the hard part, it's the standardize, which is essentially just establishing rules and a schedule to maintain the cleanliness of it, because working in construction, this place gets messy. We have long days, mud on the ground, so we just have to like pick a date every Friday at noon. We'll just clean out the site trailer, site C-can, just to try and maintain it and just make it a routine habit. That's the hardest part, because the guys come in and they just throw everything on the tables or on the benches, but now with this organization, we have a spot for everything. So if they take the 2 minutes, it keeps it nice and neat. And then the last one is abstain, which is just making sure you are following that habit on every day you pick to actually go through it. So this C-can was just, disorganized for too many years, and then we finally just took the time to put the 5S to it. That's pretty much what I got.
You want to talk about that cart at all, Matt? I know that cart was pretty cool that you did on site as well. If you could talk to that for a minute.
You're really putting me on the spot here. So with regards to sites, there's so many trades working around and everything. So first of all, I gave everybody a pallet and I put wheels on it to store their material on it so that I could push it around if I need to access somewhere. And then with our Scott Builder stuff, we made our own special carts that could hold our tools, have a battery charging station, store a bunch of miscellaneous fasteners and all that, so we could drive it around site, move it around. So it was never in the way. I never had to bend over and pick up anything to move it out of the way. Everything on site was on pallets or on wheels, which just made transferring items a lot easier around and not tripping over everything and not having to move stuff. So
also on the project, I know you took it upon yourself, like all the extension cords and stuff like that, you devised a system to have it hanging from the structure above instead of on the floors to avoid trip hazards and just the ability to move things freely on the floor. So I really, on this project, which was about I think it was almost a 2-year project, you really accomplished a lot through that time and helping us find better ways to do things. So yeah.
Yep.
Oops. Place open. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Pull planning.
So
I think everyone kind of knows what pull planning is, but I can kind of go through this. We did, you can kind of see an example of just in our boardroom at the time. Now, pull planning, I guess for people who don't know, is a way to kind of reverse engineer scheduling and getting to the depth of actual detail that's usually done far beyond not even Primavera or Microsoft Schedule project schedule. But it was, again, nice to see all the departments and all the input from different perspectives working your way back of how it's actually built up to get to the end goal. So you can kind of see, you got introduction and kickoff meetings, for example, but what it's not just, buy out a consultant and get them going and starting to work and then get drawings and bid. Like there's just a lot more intricacies going into a lot of these different tasks and subtasks. So it was nice to be able to highlight that all and how it comes together to make more of a realistic schedule, and working backwards just allows you to kind of understand the full picture of accurate timelines. So SU's visual aids here, you can see we diamond off kind of the big ones and stick it to the little ones, which is fairly common, and kind of work backwards with everyone's input, with different role playing of what you need, and really good exercise. Yeah.
And it's input from everybody from start to finish. You might not have one or two team members available, but you can kind of put them in there, and once they become available to your thing, they have the input to work on the schedule with you, and it's a more realistic way of doing it. So it was nice.
Yeah, a lot of, like, we're segregated into departments, so it's just like a lot of the feedback maybe just was a bit of a learning experience of what involves every section of that department when you're mapping out a full process like that.
So, and then just talking about our organizational impacts, basically, it's a big shift in your mindset. You become working around the problems, and I'm going to kind of almost read from the slide here, sorry. And you identify the waste, and people are now finding ways to fix the waste, or identify the waste and fix it. And like the orientations, like on a site, you can save up to 15 hours per month. The permitting or process or entry process, you save 5 hours per month per person. It's huge when you can use automation for that. And then the garbage bin, we've calculated about 3 to 4 hours per month on the site. So, like small improvements again add up to long-term benefits. And then we also, found you had fewer interruptions throughout the day, which means you're able to focus. Like they say, 1 minute interruption actually costs a person 10 minutes. People were less frustrated by people coming in and interrupting them, and you all feel better about that. And we had more predictable execution through the jobs. But with we had successes and challenges, and Justin will speak to that.
Yeah, here's just a high level. These are probably pretty similar with a lot of other construction companies that have kind of gone through the process, but yeah, you get like real improvements, beyond in training, which is nice. Now, that's like the people that are actually doing the work, improving fractionally, if it's one task or 1 minute, of a day of just continuous improvement, which is getting in the right direction, right? We had some new projects, A.R. Thompson here, we mentioned here, that we just involved in our pursuits of, hey, what our team's going through this. We have consultants that we're currently working with. When you see like a manufacturing design build project, for example, which this one was, that you could tell their flow and they had waste all over the place. We can adapt some of these policies into pre-construction and just pursuits in general of how to improve, and ended up saving the client money, time, space. Ideas generated from those doing the work, talked about that. Just you're streamlining overall processes when you're looking at the big picture, which was really nice. That's an immediate impact. So a lot of good successes. From the challenges standpoint, we struggled a bit. We didn't necessarily have a lead or a champion, right, to drive and sustain the implementation or keep it going. I know after the fact we had like we have weekly meetings or project manager meetings or monthly operations meetings, and it's, hey, we are tracking, safety. Can we be tracking some lean implementation as well, or do we want to just talk about it, monthly, and someone new kind of bring something up just to keep the momentum going would be nice. So that was a challenge. Again, tracking, so similar to kind of safety, I keep piggytail off of. It'd be nice if there was like an easier tracking system of lean that we could have implemented. Inconsistent applications across projects and teams. Yes, so you are at times segregated into different departments, localized onto job sites. So there are just a lot of different little silos kind of working at one time. So that make it a little inconsistent. And there's always the risk of just going back to what you've been doing for 10, 15 years, instead of actually saving time on the new processes, which may be a bit of outside your comfort zone. But
Yeah, so basically, in conclusion, what we did learn, and we've reiterated it a few times, is that these improvements are small, but over time and repeated use, they do save you time and make it meaningful to you. Taking action, like, really, if you just don't do anything, nothing happens. So you take action, you find out if it's working. If it's working, you keep going. If it doesn't, then you find another way to do it. And the people doing the work are the ones you need to be involved in the planning and scheduling and going through the waste walks and stuff like that. And then, it helped turn some of our problems into changes. And, again, you need to implement them and make sure you do that. And that's the real challenge of Lean is getting the buy-in and being consistent on it. Our next steps is to hopefully expand learning to more team members, like Justin alluded to. There's, we have a lot of people that do the same job, but not everyone was trained and such. And we hope in the future we'll be able to put on more courses for them and have Abel and Shafraz come back and do it to the rest of the company. Again, it's easier system to track changes and improvements, and by share those changes and improvements with everybody, so that the whole company can benefit from them. Again, as an employee-owned company, we need clear leadership and really a dedicated champion. Like, we don't have, as a corporate entity, a dedicated Lean champion. So it'd be nice if we could get that going. Again, everyone finds themselves too busy, but we will pursue that. And then again, keep preaching it, build on our success, and hopefully you get more buy-in and the rest of the company doing it. Then I guess, sorry,
I was going to add to that. Like, our challenges, like we spoke about there, is we got our certificates and we're yellow belt, Lean certified, and that was kind of it. You kind of reach there, but until you continually track or lead or push, that continuous improvement is just not going to go anywhere, right? So we kind of had that fall off a bit, where we are just trying to keep it back and continuous.
And again, thank you for your time, and hopefully we shared some ideas with you. And I just want to acknowledge Shafraz and Abel and Red 5 for their assistance in this and support on our journey. And they're always there when we have questions and stuff like that. And again, they do get involved in our projects and assist our clients with some of their processes and in improving that. As Justin said, that A.R. Thompson job, we saved 10,000 square feet of space for their fabrication, and we reduced a lot of redundancy in their process. So, but yeah, anyways, thanks to them for all their help and assistance.
Well, and it likely also a differentiator in some of our pursuits and proposals, right? Being Lean certified and incorporating that into design build for sure.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That was a really good presentation. If you do bring us back for training, we have to make sure that we time the training to when you have those really cool lunches all the time. Because that was one of the cool things I remember, is that it was always like, oh, Val, you should have came in the day before. We had like this nice spread of lunches. And I was like, no, right? Because like the consultants, we live off of the free food. One of my key takeaways that I like though as well too from your presentation was that all the supervisors, they took part in the Lean training, and they all finished off with their criteria for their certificates. And the examples that you use were really great. Those small, simple improvements that compounded over time and lessened those irritations and improved flow during those busy days that paid back when it's your hair on fire moment. And you had those kind of like, yes, crushed it moments as well too, where typically we just kind of, like frogs being boiled, and we just kind of suffer along silently. And so having those on-site kaizens come through, which is really cool. So at this moment, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I haven't boiled frogs for about 50 years, but yes, I know what you mean.
At this point, we'll be passing the baton over to those of us here. If you have questions or comments, like to please use the raise hand feature of Teams or put it into the chat, and we'll get it. We'll Kanban them and put them through first in, first out. But I do want to ask one question though, because I know that during their discussions. And even when we're going through the lean training, like we discovered that, Scott Builders works, very collaboratively, regardless of an IPD or a progressive design build contract. Can you guys speak to that a little bit more?
Yeah, so basically our culture is working with people, and that's, I've been here like for a very long time, and that's just ingrained into us. And we find it easier to, instead of confrontational, going, you said this, they said that, and our contract says this. It's easier to work with people and come up with resolutions rather than, litigations, I guess. But yeah, that's really our background or our persona that we want to pursue and have, definitely.
Yeah, especially in design. Well, design which just leads into construction, but as everyone here has probably been in design of a construction project, you kind of take two steps, whatever, on an architectural component or detail, and then you need structural input. And then structural takes two steps with it, and they need like the structural contractor's input, and then they need the mechanic. There's just so many different lines of communication that has to be open. We just found throughout the years that transparency and collaboration, just get like a big room, get people around, talking together, collaborating, just works much, much easier. So we've always done that. Even in CM and design bid build, we're pretty collaborative and transparent with all of our clients and partners.
Yeah, that's really cool that you guys don't need a contract to sit there and act the right way that we know to be true. So, kudos to you guys. Karen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Great presentation. One thing I really liked about what Matt was alluding to was, the improvements to do with the cart and having everything on wheels. And sometimes what's not recognized as much in lean, the focus about the waste is often about the time it takes, but I like the fact that it was more alluding to the physical energy. So maybe bending down to pick up that thing to move it isn't going to take any more time than moving it on wheels, but it saves the physical energy. And, you only have so much physical energy in a day. And so therefore, by saving it for things that are more important, I thought that was really meaningful. And I think that's not always recognized as much in terms of lean improvements, is that saving the physical energy. And even Justin, I think you alluded to people's frustration was going down. And so it's that mental energy or that mental goodwill. So yeah, really kudos that you're recognizing things beyond just purely hours spent on a project. What I was wondering about is, because you've got your office component and your site component, whether when you were starting out or even maybe later, was there any tension or sort of a hurdle to get over maybe the idea that, this lean thing, it's just coming from the office, it's not really a site thing, and just, because those are in some ways different worlds, and just wondering if there was any insights you had on making sure that the whole team, both office and site, was on board with doing the lean journey.
Personally, and I don't know, I can maybe tell this one, I think our site guys are, again, collaborative, and we work well with all of them, pretty well established people, but so we had good buy-in just from our site guys in general. Eventually, it might have taken a couple weeks to get them on schedule, but it seemed like the wastes and the improvements initially were just visibly easier coming from the site people. So they kind of started leading, when we talk about, we use 3 kaizens here, or 3 out of 4, I think, were straight from the site, like physically seeing improvements. Whereas, as I mentioned, it was maybe a little bit harder with the office stuff because we're sitting behind a desk and typing, and it's more digital improvements than physical. But Yeah, no, we had really good engagement, and from a picture standpoint, from a visual standpoint, it was definitely nice to see their improvements. So they were
Yeah.
happy and proud about it. So no, there wasn't a lot of pushback. Now, of course, if you got superintendents pouring big slabs or something during the weekly session, yes, there were some issues there, but no, overall, I think it went well, I guess, from my perspective.
Oh, that's great. Great to hear. Yeah,
And,
thanks.
and like Justin said, like, we adapted the schedule to meet what was needed too. So, we had estimators, we had project managers, there was Justin and I, uh, you know, site superintendents. I don't think we really had any field staff that signed up to join, but it was an overall company get together, and we built some good relationships and found we worked better with each other after the meetings and stuff like that. Especially, like I said, we did the team building exercises first, and that really helped us work together through the lean training, I guess. So yeah, so I would really recommend like a lot of team building exercises as well. So
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I should have asked this before, but was there one thing that you guys would have done differently? No, hindsight being 2020.
hmm.
I
Yeah,
guess we separated the field staff from the office staff, didn't we, at one point, Abel? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
I
we did.
really liked having like all different departments together. I guess, yeah, to me, it would have been a little bit better, having a super or more field just tied in. I know it was probably easier to do them all together, but the groupings there maybe a little bit is something I can think about. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you guys started intertwined, and then we had to separate them out because of schedule conflicts, stuff like that.
yeah, and that's going to
yeah.
happen. I get it. Like we were, what, a year, 14 months. I'm trying to remember the exact amount of weeks, but, and you can tell when our busy times are and our slower times are, because I recall even there was 2 or 3 months there was very challenging to keep up, right? On top of the slower times. But yeah, I don't know. That's my only comment. Everything else was pretty well done.
And the meeting room was, our office worked out well. You guys came here, and everyone knew where to go. So
Yeah, except
More,
they're
the other thing I was going to, sorry, just jump on and say the workshops were really, I thought they were really valuable. Of course, they take a long time and they take everybody's engagement. And I know we did a handful of them, but more workshops, I guess I would like to do as well.
cool. Awesome. To that note, are there any other questions or comments from the group? Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
Hey guys, I'm interested in learning more about your waste walks and how you guys like track and show the improvements from those.
You want to take that, Cliff, for me, or?
yeah, so the waste walks, yeah. So everyone, the eight waste walks. So that was a workshop we did, I believe, Abel, and it was a part of our homework as well. As for tracking them, again, like we haven't been very good at that. We haven't really reviewed the waste walks and went back and seen what we've done to accommodate them or fix them, I suppose. So that's something that should be on our to-do list, is to review all the waste walks and figure out what we've done to fix it. So yeah, so the tracking is very, very nominal.
Yeah, like maybe we
Is that where your
used,
champion would come in?
yeah, a champion
yeah,
would help to maybe
yeah.
standardize some implementation on that, right? Maybe using a Kaizen form or something, not exactly right, but it was easy to identify the waste, I would say. That was probably the easiest part when you kind of break it down. But then you're right, the track and the implementation and the improvement was just challenging to maintain.
Yeah, I think it's important to do that because on your reflection point, you can say, hey, look, this is where we were and this is where we are. We have to keep doing this. Right?
Mhm.
I think it's really important.
We find we get distracted with the business, right? I guess, unfortunately, and that's one of the habits we have to break too. So
And even too, like I know that during the course of the program delivery, like we did a site visit too, where all those different site supers went to one site, and we did a waste walk, you know, like some a third eye coming into your site and pointing stuff out, and then afterwards you guys had some kaizens or some improvements that jumped off of that.
Mhm.
Next
You
up,
gotta keep beating the drum, right?
what was that, Christina?
I said, yeah, you gotta just keep beating the drum, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We have Kevin.
Hey, hey guys, thanks for doing that. That was pretty informative. We are going through the same process internally right now. So good job. That was really good, useful information. Um, one thing I wanted to ask was, while you guys were going through this process of implementing all this lean stuff, did you guys get much pushback on your job sites from your sub trades? Some of this stuff, or just because as we're rolling it out, we are seeing a little bit of not resistance, but a little bit of disgruntling, I guess would be kind of the term.
I would ask Matt to speak to that, actually. I don't know if he's still on, but
Well, with my sub trades, with regards to the wheels and the carts and stuff, and giving all the trades something, I took it upon myself to make them, give them to them, pretty much show them, like load their stuff up. So it was essentially me. If it
so
pisses
they
me
bought
off,
in.
yeah, like if it pisses me off, I'm gonna fix it, right? So,
Yeah,
and then once it was done, then they were happy with having their own little work area, their own little thing, made for them. And if you looked around and everyone was using it, the site was beautiful and clean. Like it was, like I said, I hate lifting things up and moving like paint cans everywhere. But if it's on a pallet with sides on it, like everyone was just a lot happier, and they
yeah,
they thought it was the cleanest, well organized site because it was just a little structure to it. It was a lot more work on my end, but at the end of the day, I went home a little happier and showed up in the morning and didn't just, walk over a pile of garbage at the front door. So,
Was that the one that the client wanted to come down and look at it as well too?
well, yeah, there's a few that they want. Yeah, well, because they're a medical facility, so they wanted different carts for their different systems and more of them, right? So,
Yeah,
but
Kevin, you're right. The other examples I can think of, it was a little bit of training and implementation to the trades, but it's not like we forced them to come up with lean ideas. We were just leading it for most part.
Awesome. I think Karen, you're next up.
Yeah, I just had thoughts on, I saw in your next steps that you're interested in designating an official lean champion. And so I just had thoughts because I've been in the position of being the lean champion. Is my suggestion is to have more than one lean champion, like even if you have a lean lead, but to have, other co-champions, because it can be a bit lonely, and, it feels like you're pushing the rock up the hill all by yourself sometimes. And I found that because I was in a position of being sort of a solo lean champion for a while, and then once I had a co-lean champion, it just made life so much easier. So when I maybe didn't have the energy to push that rock up the hill, then he was able to kind of fill that gap and keep the momentum going. So maybe having a lead lean champion, but designate let's say several other sub lean champions, maybe one per site or something, or a couple per site. Like it sounds like Matt is absolutely the lean champion of his site. But if he even unofficially had someone else who kind of he knows he can lean on to keep up that momentum and that enthusiasm, I think it really helps the culture move forward, even more so when it's not just one person. So yeah. Anyway, congrats on your journey, though. Sounds great.
Yeah. We are taking applications, Karen, so.
All the site supers are really good about it, so Matt included.
Yeah, unfortunately, Savannah and Jason are out east, so we haven't had a chance to see what they've been doing. So, but yeah.
Cool. Christina, you had one more question?
Sorry, I just wanted to add to what Karen was saying. One of the things that we did was we implemented rotation for champion.
Mm.
And what's cool about that is each person has a totally different skill set. So when it's their turn, it's kind of like, okay, we get to actually focus on this other area that they're specialized in and improve that area. And it works really well.
It's neat. That's a great idea. Share it.
Yeah, it takes a village, so to speak. On that note, everyone, please follow our LinkedIn page to keep on track of all the new and different things in the community and all of our different presentations that are upcoming. And again, we record these sessions, so I put the link in the chat as well too. Go to our YouTube page. We'll be posting these so you can watch at a later time. Again, thank you, Scott Builders, for presenting to the Lean Community of Practice here in Edmonton this month. And we really enjoyed it. And for the rest of you guys, thank you for joining us as well too. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.